Get your bets in, get your bets in. Welcome to another installment of Bird Bones and Bricks. This is a series where I brick keys so you don't have to. Today we are bringing you the perennial, the evergreen Operation Workshop. I am attempting it on a 15 in a pickup group today, and we are going to do this dungeon that is so old even your grandfather will say, hey, I know exactly what to do here. And that is pull this first room and lust it. So this room is actually really straightforward, especially if you have a Demon Hunter and a Boomkin. The reason why is you're going to bring all these things together. These bomb tonks are the major threat here. If they cast detonate, it will wipe the group, so we want to get that. And the Strider tonks, they do charge out and they do random spiky damage, but it's mostly nothing to worry about. The live or die check revolves around interrupting and controlling these bomb tonks. So the Demon Hunter changes them together. He misses some. And he is going to send Chaos Nova into the first Bomb Tonk cast. And that is going to allow us to sync their casts, so that way we will then be able to chain our abilities afterwards to be able to properly control these mobs. So you'll see immediately after this Chaos Nova, he sigils. Okay, and so this Sigil of Silence is going to go down. And I want to point out something that's sort of pedantic, but also really important. Sigil of Silence is not being used as a silence here. It is being used as an AoE interrupt. Okay, and you might think, oh, what's the difference? That's the same thing. The difference is that if a mob is interrupted, their ability goes on cooldown, and they will not recast it. So you'll see that right here, this one, interrupted. They will not recast. This one was not interrupted because it was not hit by the chains, it did not begin its cast, and it was not synced up because the Chaos Nova was too early. So that means that as soon as the silence ends, it is then going to attempt to cast. If we had done this properly, Sigil of Silence would have bought us almost 21 seconds worth of time in which we could just blast these mobs. Additionally, after the end of that 21 seconds, I can send Solar Beam and I can interrupt them all again because, Solar Beam is a interrupt that cleaves, and that would allow us to have another 21 seconds, and we've only sent, Chains, Chaos Nova, Sigil of Silence, Beam, right? Instead of everyone having to think about, their interrupt, whether or not they're overlapping, who's going to be sending their CC when, and when you're in Lust and CDs on this first pull, you want to be doing damage, all right? And so, ideally, you send your CC in that order, which means that everything is just so much easier. All right, so I see that, those are about to cast. I send my beam there to buy us some more time, and at the same time, the Shaman also sends his Cap Totem, and Taco Cat goes down. The Palindrome, we'll have to bury him. And so, now we are sort of in Chaos Land. I know that with one less target out right now, I'm going to be taking a lot more charge damage from these Strider Tonks. I'm also being picked a lot more for these Swirlies. So, I'm definitely suffering a little bit. And one of the things that I can do to mitigate this is I can put down Ursals, and it will stop me from getting, quadruple charge in just one tapped. I've also bark skinned here, just in case, this spiky damage pops me, just because I am squishy. So we go ahead and we finish this up. You'll see that we get everything, and we are able to sort of keep everything under control. And then we go into the boss. So I'm going to fast forward to the first boss. This boss is still not that interesting on a 15, to be honest with you. What's going to happen here is we are just going to fight them both. The first thing that's going to happen is there's going to be some gears that appear, and the gears are going to run along the grooves in the Battleground Arena. So I immediately try to stack on Dr. Scar PhD, and the reason for that is because there's also going to be some mines, some bombs. You'll notice that you can stack about 2 of these swirlies at a time before another one will happen, and that means that you can just conserve a little bit more space. In reality, it's quite hard to do, so you just keep it in your mind in case you're trying to agree to cast. It's not necessarily something you should try to do, just because space isn't that important on this fight, and those things will one-shot you. So here I am about to get Faux Flipper. This is No Mercy's ability. He picks a random person and he flips him. I have Ellesmere's Weak Aura in the middle of my screen, and it's saying Shadow Meld because you can Shadow Meld this, but I prefer not to Shadow Meld this because Shadow Meld isn't up every time. You can, if you really want to, just do the one, but it's very free as a druid to simply Bear Form this and then Wild Charge. So watch what I do here. I Bear Form, I take almost no damage. I take roughly 10% of my health, and again, I'm on a 15, and I just charge back down, and it's instantaneous. Right, I'm at no risk at any point in time. So I stack back up with these bombs, and I begin to place them around the room. The other mechanics of this fight are going to include the Platinum Pummeler doing ground pound, which is the big AoE that is going to go out. It's going to go out very often, and the tank can actually interrupt it by having the hammer strike the Platinum Pummeler. On top of that, the Platinum Pummeler will occasionally put stacks of a DR on itself. This damage reduction is going to mean that it is going to die at a slower rate, and since you want to kill these bosses at the same time to avoid the enrage, it is ideal that you use the hammers to pummel off all of that. So again, I'm going to bear form here, charge, super easy. Absolutely negated. I am going to try to stick closer to the healer here, so I'm going to be following. I would say that Dr. Scar PhD is a little bit far ahead, and that I'm trying to keep the bombs a little bit more central, but ultimately the space in the room isn't going to determine whether or not you time this. It's much more a check to make sure you aren't hit by the blades and knocked into a bomb. That's the only thing that's super bad in here. So again, you see I stack 2 circles, I move, I stack 2 circles, I move. I could stack them a little bit tighter, but ultimately it doesn't matter too much. Bear form, charge. And I do seem to get picked by this mechanic quite a bit. I think it prefers ranged characters, but I'm not entirely certain. So we keep going. This ground pound is also a worthy defensive angle. You'll see we lost Taco Cat there, and that's just big damage. So definitely feel free to hit your buttons. You'll notice that we get him up immediately, just because that is what we want to do to be able to time this key. I'm placing my circles, doing a pretty good job keeping those all put together, and that is it. This boss is relatively straightforward. I do almost go down there, but I do get some healing, and then a lay on hands as well, it looks like, from the Paladin, but I think the lay on hands is a little bit late. And, you'll see that Pollo is topping the meters on this one, and he's topped the meters overall, too, because Ret Paladins are super strong. People talk a lot about how they are target capped, but, he's beaten me on the AoE damage pull, and this one. There, I 2 gears. Oh my gosh, I almost break this key right there, because they don't have a B-res for me in the event that I die, and I almost get knocked into a bomb, only to be saved by another gear. The gears giveth, the gears taketh away, and that's this fight. So I'm going to go ahead and skip forward to some of the more interesting trash. We go down here, and we pull this waste processing unit. It's going to do 2 things. One is a ginormous bleed on the tank called Puncture. The other is called Mega Drill. And so you don't want Mega Drill to overlap with the corrosive gunk that the little gunk guys do. So the rule is you send 2 stops, and then you let it go through. Right? Because that way the healer will have time to heal off the heal absorb before the next Mega Drill. So that blinding light there, that was not good. That was a waste. But the healer is still going to be able to save us here, and Puncture goes out. If you are the tank, you want to make sure that if Puncture is overlapping with when Corrosive Gunk is going through, that you have a DR up, just because you can be taking a lot of damage there. All right, so we go ahead. The same thing happens up here. This pull is sort of rinse and repeat. I think that these pulls seem scary in a pug, but as long as you remember that you only need to send 2 stops, and as a balance druid, I have 2 stops, I can solo this, nobody else needs to hit a button, then you'll be fine. Keep in mind, though, that if people do not let the gunk go through, then you will want to throw the kitchen sink at this. You will be in danger. You will need to, hit your health pot, hit renewal, hit bark skin, enter bear form, hit frenzy regen. You are in serious danger. But again, only 2 stops. It's very, very easy to do. We'll keep going. This puncture or drill, I guess, you can skip. And we pull this gunk in with one of the dogs. So this is pretty dangerous. The dogs do a magic debuff that absolutely trucks. If you get hit by 1, you are certainly pressing a defensive. If you hit by 2, you are, praying. So having this debuff go out, and at the same time having one of these corrosive gunks go out, means that we are in the situation where one person might need an astronomical amount of self-healing. So this is quite dangerous. You'll see Pollo is getting chunked here. This corrosive gunk goes out at about the time that the healer is able to dispel it or get it off. So pretty good. I think that 1 is safe because the healer should, in theory, always be able to dispel that 1 debuff immediately. So I actually think that this pull is very safe. Pulling these other 2 dogs in means that we need to make sure that we do not let this gunk go through. But that's pretty easy considering how close it is to dying. And yeah, something worth mentioning here too also is if you have a priest, you get huge mass dispel value. If you are doing a big pull with lots of dogs, you'll want to be using your raid CDs. That's your darkness, that's your spirit link, your AMZ, and that will mitigate some of the damage that these dogs do. And we just sort of truck on through. And again, 2 debuffs is an ideal dispel. And if you are playing a priest and you see, you know, more than one person has 2 debuffs, or even one person has 2 debuffs and other people have some, that's a great opportunity to hit mass. Yeah, we go through and we fight these guys. So nothing too exciting there. I'm going to briefly cover Cujo, just because Cujo is easy, but this is sort of the limiting factor. Whereas the previous boss did absolutely no damage to anybody, Cujo trucks. So here, let's go back. Let's watch that again. We're going through this Venting Flames, and we have Blazing Chomp come up. This is a debuff on the tank, and this thing trucks the tank. The healer needs to immediately dispel. So Dr. Scar PhD, he puts that PhD to work. He instantly dispels, as he should, and bam. Look at that. I took, 76% of my health and damage there. It is incredibly dangerous. I think in a higher key, this is a defensive every single one type angle, in addition to, bear forming these leaps, where I'm taking a similar amount of damage. So the healer needs to top us back up before the next Blazing Chomp, which is now, because we take another big burst. Just absolutely critical. And we go into Venting Flames. So this is the mechanic that I think that most people don't understand. Like, they know, yes, I can hide behind the box and sometimes I can hit the boss. I'm going to explain it. There is a short side and a long side of the box. The tank always wants to tank the boss at the corner near the short side of the box. This allows you to stand along the long side of the box and always be safe while hitting the boss. There'll be a safe spot in the middle of the long side and at the corner back here, right where I'm standing. So that means that you'll maintain uptime. This is super free uptime, where we're going to be able to, send all of our abilities and just, hard cast. There's no movement involved. It's really important to milk that if you want to be able to time, especially considering your defensives and healer cooldowns are going to run out as the fight goes on, because you're constantly taking huge spikes of damage. All right. The other thing too is, obviously don't let the dog jump on the crate. That's a wipe. So thankfully, our team is really good at this fight, and we do not suffer too much. I'm going to skip ahead here. We do kill this boss, I want to say in 3 minutes. Yes. So it takes us 2 minutes and 58 seconds to get Cujo down. So that's, this kind of split you're looking for. And, I would say that our damage is okay. It's not, great. And then we go upstairs. We do this thing. The Demon Hunter trivializes it for us. Thank you, Demon Hunter. And the rest of us, just pray not to get hit. On a key any higher than this, Taco Cat's going down again there. He AMS's way too late. And, yeah, it's just always better to do the mechanic and not try to cheese it and dodge it. So that's that. The tank can run ahead. He can start the RP up here. He can start the alarm bot. And when he does so, we will get the first pack that spawns. There is some tech here where, you can target the mobs at the other end of this maze and then use, wild spirits to pull through the walls and bring them to us. That's a really good way to make use of some of the downtime in this RP. The only other piece of tech that I would mention here is that the anti-personnel squirrels, they can actually be walked a little bit. When they start doing their channel, they're going to run out to greet you, and then they will begin their cast once they're in melee with you for a little bit. And so you can walk those out of the group to keep melee uptime or to prevent your other range from moving. If you notice one's on you, it's pretty free if you're a BM hunter or fire mage, but ultimately they have to go off at some point in time. I wouldn't over-maximize it. We make it through this pack, and then we begin in on the next pack. So moving ahead, there are 3 defense bots here. They each do an ability called Arcing Zap, and that is a 20-second debuff that hits pretty hard. So it's going to go on 3 random players, and the healer is only going to be able to dispel 1. Ideally, you want to dispel the person that does not have any defensives up or is the squishiest. Since these debuffs last for 20 seconds, the healer is only going to be able to dispel 1 person, wait 8 seconds, dispel another person, wait another 8 seconds, and somebody's going to have to basically sit the whole debuff. So if that is you, be aware. You may need to hit Word of Glory, hit Death Strike, hit Regrowth, or enter Bear Form. That is definitely a part of your kit that you need to survive. And also, you want to be conscious of the fact, if you have the debuff, that you are going into a short out from the Mark III. So this is the big AoE damage event. This can be quite scary. So just be conscious of your health, be smart with your defensives, and you should be able to make it through here no problem. These Mark IIIs exist throughout the dungeon, but they are made easier by the existence of the little Mechagon guys that will drop the shield generators for you. Since there are none in this pack, you're in danger. There's pretty big priest or warlock value here. If you're a Destro warlock or affliction warlock, you can use your imp to dispel this. It's a magic debuff, and a priest can mass dispel prior to the short out, which is an excellent raid CD in this planning of this fight. So this wasn't too dangerous for us. I think that we did a pretty good job of healing through it, pressing our defensives. But also, I think that I got to give credit to Dr. Scar PhD. He has a pretty nasty Spirit Link totem here that does save somebody. I think it's on this second iteration here. We sent Darkness there. And again, that's good. What we want to do is, have a raid CD for every single one of these. They happen like 15 seconds apart, and we're not going to really use them on the next pack, and there's too much movement for the boss after this. So we keep on going through. We get these defense spots down, but not before they do their cast, which is unfortunate. And we go into this short out here, and you can just see people's health bars are yo-yoing. Poyo, especially, probably needs to just bubble here. He almost dies, but Dr. Scar PhD is able to Spirit Link and save the day. We go into the next mob, or the giant crab. I think he's called like the Blastatron or whatever. And this guy is not as deadly. You do fight two of these later in the dungeon, and he does a frontal, which I swear in BFA was huge. That thing farmed me. I'm sure it was a cone. They must have changed it. The second thing he does in the same phase is he shoots out this rocket barrage, and that does pretty large AoE damage as well. We just got one around the 4-second mark, and those happen at regular intervals. The second phase of his fight is actually unique to just this guy. So here, I'll pause it right as he begins it. I think it's called Capacitor Discharge. So what he does is he turns the whole arena blue, and he spawns these two brilliant blue lines, and these indicate a safe zone. What you want to do is you want to stand in the safe zone and avoid the blue goop. This stuff will just one-shot you. So you'll notice that these lines go into the center of his hitbox, which means that this spot here in melee, inside of his red hitbox, is safe. If you're ranged, I see a lot of ranged players playing out here, which means that they are going to have to do a lot of movement in order to make it to whatever quadrant is safe. Don't stress yourself out about it. Just stand in melee. It'll allow you to take smaller steps and allow you to cast more. There is also another piece of tech worth mentioning on this boss. So the ramp where you come up, you can kind of see it off to the side here. It is a safe area if you're able to Z-axis this mob. So the blue stuff on the ground, that is, a certain height, and if your character model can be below it, specifically your character model's feet, then you can still see the boss with the top of your character model, which means you can hit it, but since your feet aren't in the blue goop, you don't take damage from it. I know, Z-axis, Blizzard's worst enemy. So what you have to do is you stand over here, and then you can free hit the boss. I don't recommend that people do it. I've seen people do it. I've even been in a few groups where people insist on it. It's just dangerous. You want to stand in your healer's healing rain. You want to stand in efflorescence. You want to limit the amount of movement that you have to do. And obviously, they would say, well, you get full uptime if you stand over there. The other thing to think about, too, is I'm a Night Elf, which means that my character is pretty tall. So I can see the boss, but, I play with a Mistweaver who loves to play Gnome. And every season I find he's, secretly changed back to Gnome. He would be LOS'd there because he's too short to see my character model, right? So it's just too much risk. Do the fight as it's intended, and it's much easier. All right, other than that, this guy's pretty uninteresting. So I'm going to move ahead to the maze, and I'm going to solve this maze for you. I want you to think of this maze as consisting of 4 steps. So the first step is this step here. You come across this alarm bot. There will be a space around him. He's slow moving. There's lots of room. Very easy. You walk through. Congrats. First part of the maze done. Now we enter the second part of the maze. This second part of the maze is right here. You can either go left or straight, I guess, depending on your angle, and you can walk through right here to this steam, or sometimes you can't walk through here, but you can walk around to the right. Either way, there's no need to wait. There's always a movement option available to you. You may see that they're coming apart right here, which means that this space is about to close. And this path is sort of hidden by my unit frame, so we can't see it perfectly, but there's no reason to ever really delay here. You should be able to get to this steam relatively quickly. You just need to know, am I going left or am I going right? Generally, I prefer to go left. I'll sometimes even wait to go left just because on the right side, you can kind of get stuck on some of the pipes and stuff that's over there. So you run over to the steam, And now you're into the third part, right? And so this third part right here is making it to these boxes. You can go right through here to this steam vent, or you can go left and then up and over these boxes. If you go right, there are more detectobots which are going to move. This is going to move. This is going to move. There are a lot more variables involved, whereas this detectobot is pretty static. He doesn't move a ton. And this detectobot mostly moves here. So you will always be safe running for this lamp and then jumping up onto these boxes. And even if you over jump these boxes, there's a little tiny point where if you're just walking into this corner right here, it'll look like this detectobot is going to hit you. It won't. He will come all the way, and as long as you're squeezed right up in there, you are safe, even if you're on the ground floor. I know. Crazy. People don't know that. Also, this pillar, you can only come around it this way. I see a lot of people think that because visually there's a lot of room there, they can like jump through. You can't. You just walk around. Again, you're not going to be at risk from this guy. You only have to worry about this guy. So that's what I do. I walk over here. I jump up onto these boxes. I'm safe. And then I stop and I wait at the steam. This is the third part. Appreciating the steam is critical. I want you to think of this steam as your best friend. This is your spa. This is your retreat. You're not in a timed instance. This is your moment. You'd like another misted towel, actually. You're going to have the full spa works here because you're always going to wait. Yes, there are some classes that can easily make it in this tight window. I believe actually you can even do it with Ghost Wolf. Mages can easily blink it. I've seen Havoc Demon Hunters Fel Rush it. But not you and not me. And the reason why is because it is high risk, low reward. If you get caught there, you have to do the whole maze again. You might get caught up. You might have to wait. And you're going to be back in the exact same position. Never agreed to this. Just wait in the steam. There's no reason for you to risk getting caught, like our healer, Dr. Scar, PhD. Welcome to Bird Bones and Bricks. Get your bets in. Do we brick this key? Stay tuned. All right, and so because we are going through as a team, we need our healer and we need our tank. If you're a healer or tank, just wait. Wait in the steam. Very easy. It can be done. You can make it. There's no point. It's not going to make the difference between you timing the key, and messing that up is not only going to tilt you, tilt your teammates, it's going to seriously jeopardize the key. Never, ever risk it. All right, watch. And they go to risk it? No. Dr. Scar didn't even learn his lesson, right? And it's because people are hurrying, right? This is a patience test. The timer is built in for, time for you to wait. You can pick up way more time elsewhere. All right. We fight this pack. This pack consists of mobs that we've already seen before, except now the mechanics are going to also drop shield generators, or perhaps it's one of the other mobs. Either way, the shield generators go down, and these shield generators are a godsend because they're going to help us live the short out. You can even eat the anti-personnel squirrel's explosion if you're standing in here. It will still kind of hit you, though, like it'll chunk. I would say casts don't really matter when there's a shield generator up. Being in the shield generator is awesome. It basically means you just get to blast. So do that as best as you can. There will be a tune-up from the mechanic, and when that happens, you're going to want to interrupt it. Also, I should just read my weak words. The Workshop Defender is the mob that spawns the shield generator. So those are the ones that we want to save, and the mechanics just do tune up, and they also give out a haste buff. So we can stand in here. There's still going to be debuffs going out, but with the help of the shield generator here, we should not be in danger, and then we go into boss. So I'm going to fast forward to that. Pulling this boss, there's a few things that you should know, but I think it just helps to think about the fight conceptually. So the things that you should know is that there are safe spots, right? So this spot on the stairs where I'm currently standing is a safe spot. The only ability that can hit me here is Discombobulator, or Discombobulator, I should say. And there's a safe spot on the exact other side of the room, up against the blue wall over there. So that's the first thing that you should know. That's just a knowledge check. The more important thing that you should be thinking about is the fact that this room is shaped strangely, right? So we have this big fountain in the middle of the room whose hitbox is bigger than it appears. And we have, these curved sections of hedge over here where the cogs spawn. The cogs will pop out of the center of these hedges. So you never want to be, right here, for example, on the outside of the room, because the cog will spawn on you and you'll just get one shot. All right? So these plants, they will spawn near these hedges as well, and you will kill them. It's really good to stun them right away. The reason being that they will immediately start attacking whoever is closest to them. And if that is a DPS player like me, then you're going to, need to press a defensive. And for me, that's always going to be Barkskin if I have it up. Yeah, and then other than that, we will either move clockwise or counterclockwise around this room based on whichever direction the hidden flame cannons push us. Something to think about is, okay, so we don't want to be near the hedge. We also don't want to be too close to this because of its hitbox, and also it's going to be something that these cogs bounce off of, right? And so since you want to plan your movement and to be able to react to the things around you, you want to be sort of equidistant. So I advise standing along the middle ring here, inside of this outer ring, I should say. Be along this point because that gives you maximum distance from the hedgerow, maximum distance from here. It provides you with 360 movement degree options, whereas if you were up against this, yes, you'll have to move less to get around the circle of the room, but it also means that you're going to have fewer movement options overall, and there's a lot that can go wrong in this fight. And one misplaced discombobulator means that you're essentially pinned, and you might not think that you have, the movement to get out and live. So just be careful of that. Other than that, the other thing to mention too is that these flame cannons, when they spawn, they're not shooting, but they have this red line. And they actually take quite a bit of time before they start shooting. So if you have one spawn on you, you should stand on that red line and you should wait for it to move. And that means that it will move away from you, right? Because any direction that it moves is away from you as long as you're standing on it. And you will then be in the safest possible spot from the flame cannon because the dangerous flame cannon is the one that's moving towards you from behind. It takes a bit of practice to do that. I actually don't do it in this video, but it is something that I do in the event that the line spawns on me. All right, and while I'm over on this side of the room, I do want to point out the other safe spot, which is directly behind me, right here. So you want to be right there. The first time that I attempted this safe spot, I actually stood in this corner because I thought that this pillar here is where the cogs would bounce off. Not the case. These cogs, they just go straight through this pillar. This pillar doesn't exist to them. And so if you're standing, in this corner, you're dead. The safe spot is in fact, butt right up to the blue line and standing right there. That's where you want to stand. All right. We go through this boss. It's relatively uneventful. There does come a point as a DPS player where you basically just don't hit your buttons anymore, and you just run around making sure you don't die, especially as a caster, because it's very hard to stand still. So taking advantage of those safe spots is definitely required. Like I should have died there. That definitely should have killed me. The other thing to think about, too, if you're the tank, is you don't want to be tanking the boss near the dead flame flowers. So the flame flowers, when they die, they start spurting oil, and that oil becomes these red fire circles, and it's just always easier to tank the boss away. And ideally, you want to tank them away from the recently killed flame flowers, but also close to one of the safe range spots. So either here or on the other side of the room. I'm dodging the discombobulate there. I'm going all the way back up these stairs, and we sort of just power through this fight. All right. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about the pull that in BFA, your grandpa might remember lusting, and in fact insist that you lust, because it is quite dangerous. All right, first things first, we roll up on these spider tanks, and the one in the back is the one that spawns the RP. So you want to kill this back spider tank first to spawn the RP. That will allow you to get onto the little helicopter things that will take you to the next area sooner, and it means that you will save time in the key. These spider tanks also do so much damage. It's insane. And again, I'm not just talking about the frontal, which will one-shot you, but it seems about every 4.5 to 5 seconds, they send out a rocket barrage, and that is deadly. So we pull these. First rocket barrage, bam, chunks us to half health. So every single one of these rocket barrages is going to do about half health. And we need to cycle our raid defensives to live this. So the tank drops darkness. This is a really good darkness. And watch, you can just see his HPS skyrocket. He's doing, 3.4 million healing overall. That's crazy. Every 4.5 to 5 seconds, you want to drop a new raid CD. Right? So after this, it'd be really good. After this ends, we want, an AMZ or a Spirit Link. And you'll notice that our Death Knight, Taco Cat, pops AMZ right after the damage event. So we actually lose value here. But the good news is that Dr. Scar PhD, he's got a killer Spirit Link, and that is able to carry us through, multiple rocket barrages and keep us topped up. So very dangerous. I do think that on a high enough key level, you do reach the point where you're either, lusting this, or you're single target damaging this back spider tank. as a balanced druid, my 2-target cleave is incredibly efficient. Same with a ret paladin. You will just hit Divine Storm or Starfall. But I think that if you don't have the raid CDs and the defensives to live this, there's a world where you're Star Surging that instead of Starfalling it, and you're hitting Final Verdict instead of Divine Storm. So something to think about. Depends on your group comp, depends on your CDs, depends on your healer's throughput. All right. And in this area, we see the familiar culprits. We have our shield generators, our defense bots, and our tinkerers and defenders. So again, the defenders are going to be the ones that put down the shield generators that we're going to love standing in. And there's a little bit of tech that we can do. So we want to kill these mobs, and killing a pack means that we're going to be doing AoE damage. Since the defenders have less health than the defense bots, we're going to have an awkward part in the fight where the defenders are dead, there's no new shield generators coming up, and that means that there is no safety from the short out. And the short out's going to go off, and we're going to need to live that. There's 2 of them this time. So in order to live that, obviously healer CDs, personal defensives, that's where you want to be sending them. But there is some tech you can do. You can prevent these defenders from dying by keeping them in the shield generator. The other mobs, these defense bots, they are not affected by crowd control, which means that it's easy to Sigil of Chains them in, or do what I do, which is I place Typhoon inside the shield generator, and then I bounce out, I place Ursa. I place Vortex inside the generator, and then I Typhoon out, and that allows me to effectively chains them back in. Once they're in, don't kick them. Right? We want to keep them there for as long as possible. And so what they're casting? They're casting on somebody inside a shield generator. We don't need that. Don't kick them. Keep them in there. That change was not quite great, but we got saved by a lucky shield generator spawn, and we're able to keep blasting. All right. This should be the last pack of the dungeon in most routes that are meta right now. And there is a skip coming up that is very popular. So there's a ton of ways to do this skip. You could bring a rogue, and you can stealth past this pack. You could take a Warlock Gate, and you could skip it that way. You could have a Priest Mind Soothe these guys, and then you walk along this outer edge here. However, all 3 of those, it means that you're going to end up fighting the pack at the top of the stairs because there's somebody with stealth detection there. The way that you get around that is you bring a Vengeance Demon Hunter. You have them Sigil of Misery this pack, run up, pull these guys, bring them back down, and then double jump away, Shadow Meld, drop aggro, right? So Saw is going to go ahead and do that skip. He miseries. And the second he miseries them, they are in combat with him, right? And he pulls these mobs back. You have to wait for them to go past, and then we all go together, and we make it through. I do want to talk about when the skip goes wrong, and this is Bird Bones or Bricks. It's going to go wrong. I mean, we're killing the timer right now. We've got 7 minutes for the last boss. And you'll notice that Dr. Scar PhD and Poyo both have aggro, so they ran too close. And as soon as this happens, you need to recognize that you have aggro. Your unit frames will be lighting up. That's what you want to be thinking about. And you want to instantly jump off. Just jump right off. And if you do that, your body will spawn here on the bridge, and everybody will be able to res you. The reason you want to do that so fast is because if you start fighting these guys, they will do short out, which will kill everybody else. And they don't necessarily want to heal themselves for risk of getting healer aggro. So thankfully, these Giga Wallops both go on Poyo. They one-shot him. Dr. Scar gets meleeed to death. So that doesn't happen, but I have seen it happen before. We begin resing. And again, all right, fine. Not 7 minutes, 6 minutes left on the timer, but this is looking pretty good. And this boss, I would say isn't too difficult. He just has abilities that you have to respect. So let's go ahead and get started with that. The first thing that's going to happen is he's going to summon these little orbs around the room, and he's going to recalibrate them every so often, and he's going to send them at players. So when he does that, these orbs will always go towards a player, that is near them. It might be a player that's a little bit further away, but if you are standing close to the orb, then the orb is going to travel in a very predictable pattern. It's not going to shoot across the room, potentially clipping someone that is unaware of its existence, and it is instead going to move a very small amount, which means that everybody is much safer. In order to, make sure that you live through this recalibrate, you want to think of it like chopping vegetables with a really sharp knife. The closer your fingers are to the blade, knuckles up against the blade, the safer your fingertips are. You want to be close to these guys, but not too close. You don't want to touch them, because even if they're not moving and they touch you, they'll kill you. All right, the other thing that he does is take off. I do see melee occasionally die to this. Just don't greet it. Just step out. It's very easy. And then, he'll pick somebody to, charge down with Cutting Beam. This does pulsing AoE damage, but it's very low, and it's not particularly dangerous unless he, runs over you. So don't get run over. It's possible to Shadow Meld that. Don't do it. There are way higher value Shadow Melds in this fight, and if you do that, it will then pick somebody new, it will fixate on them, and your melee who are trailing behind it, hitting it, might be fixated and get instantly one-tapped. So don't Shadow Meld that. What you want to Shadow Meld is Mega Zap. There is some value in doing it in P1. It basically means that he won't complete the cast, but there's much more value in P2. So let's go ahead and skip ahead to P2. As we're fighting here, you'll see this giant Mega Zap has become a frontal, and it hits 3 different people before it goes away. It does a initial burst of damage, and it leaves a dot. There's also a dot in the version that hits you in P1. It's just that it's not as noticeable because there's not as much damage going out. So once you hit a defensive, once you get picked, you need to hit a defensive, and then you want to dodge everything that's happening in the room by running along the line. You never want to move the line back and forth. You want other people to respond to and respect the line. Your job is to keep the line still, right? So in the event that there was a recalibrate that was happening at the same time, Dr. Scar PhD would either be running towards the boss or away from the boss. He would not run left or right. All right. So this goes off, we're at 88%. We just hit Lust, and we're kind of pumping. We still have a lot of time. We can easily time this, but the bad news is that we can also easily mess this up. The next ability that happens is the Magneto Arm. When that spawns, it is going to draw these orbs towards it, and it is going to pulse damage. The damage that it pulses is higher, closer to the arm. So you want to be as far away from it as possible. You want to fight the suck-in, and you also want to make sure you don't get clipped by any of these orbs. Otherwise, you will die, like Taco Cat. Or sorry, Pollo. Ugh. I need to put respect on Pollo's name. All right, so Pollo goes down. We're able to get the B-Res off, and we rebuff for him. I'm doing a lot of movement here. I'm looking, and Pollo just goes down again, right? He even had immunity up, which is unfortunate, but, that's what it is. So we got 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. We got 68% on this boss. Honestly, I think it's pretty doable at this point, and I'll sort of give you the play-by-play. I mean, we're almost there, right? 2 minutes 16. I'm going to fast forward 30 seconds. We're 1:45 away. He's only gone down like 10%, though. And it starts to dawn on me, now I'm about a minute out. We're at 39%. We have a B-Res coming up in 40 seconds. I don't know if that'll be enough. We're at 38%. Got a minute left. Maybe. 30 seconds left. We're about to get Pollo back up. We hit this B-Res immediately. And 21%. We have we'd have to do a percent of health a second. So, I'm hitting that B-Res. And unfortunately, we just don't make it. Pollo smartly just Divine Shields there. I feel like he's probably quite tilted. Again, he's a 3,300 player. He's very good. He knows how this boss works. It's just unfortunate to die to avoidable damage twice back-to-back and not time the key because of it. We are barely over, but, it's an important lesson learned that when you are fighting this boss, you have to respect the suck-in, not just in terms of, what's coming out in raw damage, but also in avoidable damage. You want to make sure that you dodge all that. And we kill King Mechagon, and that's it. Unfortunately, for Dr. Scar PhD, Pollo, Taco Cat, and Saw, that means that we are once again back to Pugging Workshop. Hopefully, we have bricked this key, so you don't have to. If you like this video, feel free to follow the channel, and I will continue to put out more of these. Generally, I put out more video essay style stuff, but I think that I have a lot of fun doing keys, and I want to share that with other people. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.